Hi everyone. So there are a number of videos that I need to do in succession. At least this one and two more that I can think about. But I feel like I need to do this one first, even though it's not the content I want to get to, because I feel like it's very, very difficult to address anything outside of the expansion of the virus. And that is the number one thing that people are looking for some sort of guidance on. And as long as I'm able to, again, I've given you a sense of what the prevailing astrological wisdom is as far as the virus is concerned in my last couple of videos, but I'm going to use this video to give us a sense of where we are and what we can and cannot expect. And then the next couple of videos will become more relevant on a personal level and are really what I want to get to. So I'll do one tomorrow, I'll do one day after tomorrow. The general sense in the astrological community from a Western perspective as far as the virus is concerned is that this has to do with the cluster of planets in Capricorn and their conjunction with the planet Pluto, Pluto being the planet of death and transformation. Saturn conjuncted Pluto close to the end of December, and some people are pointing to that as the start or becoming known that a constrictive illness in this case was making its presence felt or was announcing its presence. And then Mars, the planet of action and energy and drive, but also the fiery planet of combat, recently, since the middle of March, has been meeting up with all the planets in Capricorn one by one. Jupiter and Pluto, it already met with around March the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It is on its way to meeting up with Saturn, which is in Aquarius, but clearly played some sort of a constrictive and an inaugurative role in all this. It's on its way to meet with Saturn on the 31st of March. And then Jupiter, the planet of expansion, meets up with Pluto, the planet of death and transformation, on April the 4th, April the 3rd, April the 4th. So the sense of expansiveness, I think a way that I would look at it is to say that the hits keep coming, and the hits mean a continued expansion globally of the virus and its constraint on us. Now, let me just focus on the Jupiter-Pluto thing for a while, because it's not over. Mars has conjuncted all these planets in Capricorn and has moved ahead. Saturn is now in Aquarius briefly. It will go retrograde and come back into Capricorn, but when it comes back to Capricorn, it will come close to Pluto, but it will not meet up with Pluto again. So there is, as we look at the second half of this year, especially the late summer, there is late summer into early fall, there is Saturn coming close to Pluto, but Pluto's also retrograde at that time. That's not the transit that is interesting to me. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, meets up with Pluto on April the 4th, keeps moving forward, goes retrograde in the middle of May, and meets up again with Pluto at the very end of July, and then goes direct in the middle of September and meets up with Pluto again in the middle of November. So we have the planet of expansion and the planet of death and transformation meeting up 3 times. Once directly now on the heels of Mars coming in and kind of inflaming everything. Once when it is retrograde in the summer, end of June, June 29th, I believe. And once when it is direct for the final time, it meets up with Pluto in November. What is so interesting about this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction also is that the degree at which Jupiter and Pluto conjunct on April the 4th is the same degree that they conjunct when Jupiter's retrograde on June the 29th. So we're kind of watching the space to see what this all means. Added to all of this, of course, we also have the new moons that are giving us a more personal sense of our energy during this time. The new moon at the end of February was conjunct to Mercury retrograde, the following full moon, a stationary Mercury. Lockdowns, not being able to move, confusion, messaging being unclear. Mercury then went direct Mercury went direct March the 10th, a greater flow of information. March the 23rd, 24th, the new moon in Aries conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer body, a planetary body. I'm going to use that word. I'm not going to get into whether it's a dwarf planet or a comet or an asteroid or whatever people think it is. And with this, in the new moon in Aries video, I talked about how with Chiron, you really are asked to sit in the wound and understand it. Chiron, in a personal chart, has a much more psychological, emotional, psychological meaning and intent in terms of woundedness, of vulnerability. But insofar as this new moon has conjuncted a body that is associated with healing, one of the things I am waiting to see is in the second half of this lunar 28 days, after the full moon, the hits and the conjunctions keep coming till April the 4th. But then 4 days later, we have a full moon in Libra. And then, it may be that the hits keep coming as we head towards April the 8th or April the 10th or 11th, 12th. It could also be that as we head past the 4th, and then the 10th, then the 12th, and as we head towards the next new moon in Taurus on April the 22nd, it could be that as we head towards there, glimmers of healing appear. I don't know what this could mean. Could it mean that tests become a little bit more, or the possibility of testing becomes more readily available? Is there something that shows up that gives us a sense that there is a possibility for greater containment? What is fascinating then is that the new moon in Taurus on April 22nd is conjunct Uranus, the planet of awakening, epiphany, liberation, independence. It's a planet of shocks and surprises too. It's a planet of lightning, but it's really a planet of growth and liberation is the way that I tend to see it or find it. So is there the possibility that this is going to be remaining with us for the rest of the year? Is there a possibility that there's perhaps a respite or a respite or relief in the northern hemisphere as the summer gets going, and the prevailing wisdom seems to be that this is a virus or belongs to a family of viruses that don't do quite so well in summer? Is that medically true? Is it not? We need to wait and see all this. As it is, I think by watching this channel, I just kind of look at all this with a healthy skepticism and wonder if whatever is being talked about, whether we've got it right or not. I'm always skeptical about things that are not foreseen because, I always kind of feel like there's a rush to explain or defend the profession after something happens. And I'm just like, I feel very clear and very comfortable with the fact that we're not supposed to know everything. So it's a losing battle with the hair with this wind. So what does this mean? And if you were to say, Abhi, what do you think? Because that's why we're watching your channel. I would say, I certainly hope, what I'm holding out for is that these new moons have been pretty literal in terms of what they've brought. So I am hoping that as we get towards April 22nd, there are glimmers of hope. It may not mean that the healing is available to everybody and is making its way to us, but I'm hoping that it's a new moon. I'm hoping that it inaugurates something. I'm hoping that the new moon conjunct Uranus on April 22nd brings a ray of liberation and epiphany, and sort of a freedom from the shackles of this. I'm willing to believe that we're not done and that there may be a respite over the summer, but maybe as Jupiter moves towards conjuncting Pluto for the final time in November, as we head into the winter months, late fall, that there might be a resurgence or another eruption that then has to be managed or maintained or controlled, but we just know more at that time. That is my hope. That is my prayer. That is what I'm waiting to see if that is how things emerge. My advice to everyone at this time is to, when I talk to my clients, people are falling in, I would say, about 3 categories. There's the group of people who are chagrined and irritated and frustrated because life was starting to move forward or things were in the offing and everything has come to a halt or a pause, and some of those things were exciting and interesting. I, to some extent, may fall in that category to some extent. But I don't know, not really. The second group of people are people who are financially impacted immediately as a result of the lockdowns and the shelter in place. and have to scatter, feel like they are anxious and need to find solutions ASAP because there's a loss or reduction when it comes to pay. The third group of people are folks who are eager to take some sort of action, but at the same time are finding that the shelter in place is affording a certain amount of quiet or time to catch one's breath, or maybe the ability to see if we can catch up on pending or earlier or older tasks. For the first group of people who are finding this shutdown, I'll use that word, frustrating, I would say, actually to everybody except the group that is financially feeling the impact immediately, I would say I hold to what I've said in the last couple of videos, which is try to make hay while the sun is not shining. I find that when I talk to clients that there is forward movement. It may not be the kind of forward movement that you were thinking about, but people are still getting in touch with you. Things are either not happening, or you're hearing about things that are not moving forward. You're hearing about things that are moving forward. I think you're hearing a general sense of panic with regard to not knowing how things are going to be or things are going to go. But there is forward movement. And I would pay attention to what that forward movement looks like. My bigger concern is that people are waiting to start to take action until the lockdown somehow relieves itself. And my concern at that point in time is that there's going to be such a glut of action. Millions of people are going to run to the gate to get things taken care of. Going to doctor's appointments, going to take pets to the vet, going and getting the groceries done, making their vacation plan. I just feel like at that point in time, frankly, people will be raring to go. But I suspect that by that point in time, we're going to hit another period of reevaluation and reconsideration, because it's when the gates open that we're all going to have to take stock of the impact of this shutdown. Right now, we're in this shutdown. And with the planets moving in the way that they are, I will still argue. I really do feel that there are things that are on the back burner that can be taken care of at present. And the back burner does not just mean that we clean out a closet or we do the laundry. When I hear of people who are feeling like everything is stalled, that first group of people who are full of chagrin and frustration, I know that they have projects that they have mentioned to me that can be worked on right now. That then when the gates open, they're like, oh, now I have to work on this. I'm going to hear the familiar refrain I hear from these type A personalities. And if you're one of them, take note of, oh my God, I have so much to do. All of a sudden it's so busy and I have this to do and that to do and I can't possibly get to it. Well, you have time now to get to certain things rather than feeling like that the universe is not serving you. Remember, the universe is not here to serve you. You are here to serve the universe. To be clear. Is it a symbiotic process? Yes. Does the universe serve us? Absolutely. Does the universe hand us our butts on our plate karmically sometimes or often as we need it? Yes. But the universe is not here to serve you and move things along to make you rich, famous, and popular. You are here to serve the universe. So the question becomes, what are those things? And for that first group of people, I would encourage you to look at things and projects that you could be working on now that you could be making progress on. And it's not as if when I talk to this group of people that the progress of the forward movement has stopped. It may not be going as we planned. And there may be delays. My concern with waiting to act or take care of things or not be in action right now is that, as I said, when the gates open, not only will there be a rush to action, I think that looking ahead and seeing where the planets are going, my concern is that if you're not taking advantage of April, it's not here yet, but it's almost here. If you're not going to take advantage of April to move things forward by the time we get to the middle of May and then into July, there will need to be things will need to be reevaluated and reconsidered at that time as a result of it is becoming clearer to me some of the things that are currently on hold and that will have an impact down the line. So now, if you're in category 3 and you feel like, I want to get things done, but I just can't move, I feel financially okay, and right now I just want to take a breather and I want to rest. There's nothing wrong with that. Rest is a form of action. If that feels like an oxymoron to you, you know, laugh at me. But rest is a form. Conscious rest, deliberate rest, taking the time to rejuvenate or recharge or enjoy the slowdown. I'm not going to say that the pace is slowing down or slowed down. I'm going to say that the pace might be normal and we have just lost sight of what normal looks like. There are actually 4 groups of people. The second group of people who are financially strapped right now, I'm sorry. I wish I could be there and help you out, and I wish I was an expert as to where it is that you need to look for resources to help you out. But I'm gonna leave you to that, because talk about a certain kind of forward movement that needs to be taken. There is a 4th group of people who are still finding themselves employed. It's wonderful, and who find that with the shortages are busy, busier than normal, stressed, working from home, dealing with things, essential functions. Some people still having to come into workspaces and be around other people performing those essential functions. And to them, you know, when I talk to clients like that, they may not say it outright, but what I sense is a sense of, you want me to reflect? I'm kind of spinning right now. So planets and personal wise, this is why I wanted to do this video before I get into the next couple of videos that to me are more interesting. But I will maintain that the end of March and April and the beginning of May are times of forward movement. You can wait and see whether there's forward movement on the things that you wish were moving faster but have come to a stop. I'm here to tell you that I don't think they have come to a stop. And it could be that the forward movement on some of them is to say, you might hear and say, this is coming to a stop, and we'll revisit. It's not like it's slipping into some unknown land from which there's going to be no progress whatsoever. And the second thing that I would encourage is, whoever you are in those 4 groups of people, or maybe there's a 5th or a 6th or a 7th that I haven't thought of, either take the time to recharge or settle into a more normal pace if you're one of those folks, or else by all means take stock of what can be done and achieved at this point in time. Because as the fog starts to lift and the curfews and the shutdowns and the shelter in place starts to loosen eventually, you may think that that is the time when things are going to move forward, but it may be that at that time is when things really hit certain types of snags, because everyone is going to have to reevaluate what the impact of the shutdown has been on them and what they can actually do, accommodate, or not. There's a lot happening astrologically right now, even outside of this forest fire in Capricorn. You're welcome to look at the past couple of videos. Also, the new moon in Aries video I did, the other forest fire, there are a couple of videos that you might find useful. As far as the timing is concerned, if you were to say, Abhi, I don't want to hear what the general astrologers are saying, what are you saying? I'm going to wait till the end of April to see if by that time we have some glimmers of healing and a path forward, and I am waiting to see by the end of May if we have some clarity on what a more liberated feeling looks like. It may come sooner than that. It seems unlikely that even if there's a glimmer of healing that it's going to make its way to all of us in days or weeks. I am talking about a solution. I am talking about a ray of light. We may be living with some form of a new normal for the rest of the year, and it could be that the Jupiter-Pluto 3-time conjunction, the planet of expansion moving forward, then retrograde moving forward again, conjuncting the planet of death and transformation 3 times this year, keeps this in our presence till the end of the year. But I am waiting to see what happens by the end of April and end of May. And I would not be entirely surprised if it still feels like the hits keep coming at least till April the 4th, if not April 8th, April 10th. And it could, God, I hope the full moon, I hope I don't have to wait till the end of April to see the ray of light. I hope this full moon brings something to some sort of culmination. But let's see. Okay, if you found this video useful, feel free to share it, like it if you liked it, comment on it. All of that kind of gives it greater circulation on YouTube. There's subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are so inclined, and there's a bell icon next to the subscribe button, which if you click that, you'll know when I do new videos. The next couple of videos I'm going to do are really, frankly, more interesting and more relevant on a personal basis and require all of us to be vigilant on certain things. So just watch for those tomorrow and day after. And finally, my contact information is in the subject area below. So if you look at that, if you are interested in finding out prices for readings, or you want me to make an easy to read version of your chart, I'm happy to do that. You'll need to know your birth time for that, so you can contact me there. Okay, more tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.